In relation to the Joint Committee on the establishment of Adelaide University, and I'll indicate that I'm summarising now and reaching a conclusion, I want to again place on the record my gratitude to the excellent committee staff who I named at the commencement of my remarks, and indeed the work they provide us. I want to thank the witnesses who came along in good faith. There were witnesses who made submissions and witnesses who appeared personally. There were witnesses who argued strongly in favour of the proposal, and there were witnesses who argued strongly against. Some of those witnesses I've recommended to members that they read their transcripts of their evidence. Along with the Honourable Jing Lee and our minority report, I thought we were fairly even-handed in highlighting some of the key evidence, both for and against the proposal, for members who are interested in the submission. It is the honest intention of the Liberal opposition in South Australia to support projects that will advance the South Australian good while applying an appropriate level of scrutiny to those where there is risk involved. In relation to this merger proposal, on the day that the heads of agreement was signed between the government and the universities, the Premier identified that support for the passage of the merger swiftly was necessary, and that, as Martin Luther King once said, delay is denial. After about a week of discussion, the government and others in the building had come to the view that a committee inquiry was appropriate, and that a 3 or 4 month delay apparently was not denial, but indeed appropriate scrutiny of what is for South Australia a dramatically important decision. And it's a decision that comes with a level of risk. I'm not going to repeat all of the summary of the concerns I had earlier, but it is important to state that I'm aware that what has been characterised in some places as creating uncertainty and fear, I would very clearly characterise as raising appropriate questions on behalf of the people of South Australia who deserve nothing less than scrutiny of a proposal that will so dramatically change not just the higher education landscape in South Australia, but the circumstances within which our professionals who occupy jobs right across the spectrum, right across the state, the important jobs for the public service and for private industry, are educated. This is a big deal. It's appropriate that it have scrutiny. And when you have a level of scrutiny, what you find also are improvements take place. And as a result of the Parliamentary Committee inquiry, you had an agreement or a deal has been suggested. Some people oppose the word deal. Let's just say there was a press conference between representatives of the government and One Nation and another member of the Legislative Council putting forward amendments to the proposal, including a $40 million equity fund for Flinders University that had not been part of the proposal prior to the questions being raised about it. There was an extra $20 million provided for rural and regional students and to assist them in attending the new university that had not been part of the original proposal. There was an independent advisor to the process proposed by government that had not been part of the original proposal. And there were a range of other suggestions made by the committee that I think will enhance the chances of the merger's success, none of which would have taken place without the questions being raised in the first place. Far from creating uncertainty and fear, my very, very strong view is that the appropriate and rigorous scrutiny applied to this process, to this bill, to this proposal by the opposition, and in fairness, while I don't agree on all of the landings that they came to, I'd also say by the Greens, and also clearly on that first weekend, the Honourable Frank Pangallo, those questions did not create fear and uncertainty. Rather, I am certain that they landed the proposal in a better place than it started. And was that to the full satisfaction of the opposition? Not quite, but it was an improvement. I'd also like to place on the record, sir, my thanks to you, the member for Gibson, the member for Adelaide, the Speaker, the Honourable Reggie Martin, the Honourable Jing Lee, the Honourable Tammy Franks and Robert Sims, who both at different stages appeared as members of the committee, the Honourable Connie Benares and the Honourable Sarah Game. As I said at the beginning, not in every moment, not in every single witness questioning did I think that every single question was appropriate, but We spent a great many hours together, and I think the overwhelming majority of those hours were conducted in absolute decorum, civility, and in an endeavour to find out the most useful information that would help advance the interests of the people of South Australia. I make no further reflection on the committee process than that. Mine is of gratitude, and I think it was helpful. Now, the opposition has, in the last couple of days, made clear further ways in which we believe that the outcome for South Australia will be further improved. Regional hubs being actively supported by the state government is the first time that a major political party in South Australia has made a financial commitment to that end. It is not something that has ever been done before in the terms of providing that ongoing support for a regional uni hub. There have previously been state government allocations of funding to bring universities from overseas, Carnegie Mellon and the London one that has slipped my mind momentarily. These were supported with state government investments of money, but state government hasn't previously invested significant funds in the university sector. We will invest in supporting, hopefully, Adelaide University or Flinders University to be the anchor tenant in a regional uni hub here in South Australia. And we will also support Flinders University and the research fund I talked about earlier. Through all of that, we're in a situation where the bill's going to pass. And as I said yesterday, the opposition will be supporting this bill. In the context that it is going to pass, despite the rhetoric of some, the opposition is clearly focused on achieving an outcome that will be for the best interests of the people of South Australia. And this university, if it meets its stated ambition and the numbers work out in the way that they are intended to, then it can certainly provide significant opportunities for the people of South Australia. Although there will be a loss. There will be a loss of positive aspects of culture at either campus. We hope and we'll support the universities to work towards having positive culture. But there are aspects of what exists now that cannot possibly be transferred into a new institution. Does that mean we should vote against the bill? No, not by itself. There are risks, and we have gone through them at great length. There are things that will not work out or might not work out or might end up indeed in a worse situation than they are before endeavouring on the project. Does that mean that we should not support the bill? It might, but you have to take into consideration and on balance what the likely outcome is. The majority of the members of the committee who have self-identified now, clearly the government, the Honourable Sarah Game and the Honourable Connie Benares, clearly were of a view that it will likely work out. The minority report from the Honourable Jing Lee and myself, rather than using the term that the committee did, we instead said that on the balance of evidence considered by the committee, the economic and social interests of the state of South Australia might be advanced by the amalgamation, but members should note those opportunities carry with them a number of considerable risks that need to be mitigated. We believe that while informed members acting in good faith could reasonably conclude that the risks inherent in the proposal are worth taking or not, we would suggest the measures presented in recommendations 2 to 7 in the report are essential if the proposal were to proceed. Noting that in this minority report, we also recommended further measures to strengthen recommendations 5, 6 and 7. I've spoken about regional delivery and what needs to be enhanced there for this opportunity to be fully realised. I've spoken about Flinders University, what needs to be advanced there to ensure equity for our institutions and the total net benefit to the people of South Australia. I've spoken about the McGill campus and what is necessary there to protect the people of my community and the community in Hartley from having their rights and their needs trampled upon. But all of these things can be sorted through and indeed positive outcomes can endure. We also have spoken about process and the way that government processes can be improved. Those are the criticisms that we've had, and yet we will support the bill because not only is it too big to fail, as I have said, and not only are we very keen to then lean in and help it succeed, there are good opportunities here, and I want to finish on describing how I see these opportunities, particularly reflecting in the minority report that Jing Lee and I put forward. These opportunities we must work together to see realised. Thank the Vice-Chancellors of Adelaide University, University of South Australia, Professor Peter Hoy and Professor David Lloyd, I apologise, I've forgotten Peter Hoy's post-nominals, but he has them. For their positive engagement with the opposition that has also encouraged us towards this position through further identification of risk mitigation measures, partly in response to the minority report. The merits, as we wrote in our minority report, identified in the report, refer mainly to rankings, research and international students. In relation to rankings, from an Australian point of view, Australian domestic students would be more familiar with the Group of 8 title than university rankings per se, and it is important the university has already been granted Group of 8 status. When coupled with the fact that so long as it's not set off course, Flinders University is on track to become a nation top 10 university, that would lead to the appealing prospect that every graduate of a South Australian university would be graduating from a top 10 university across the nation. Certainly that would also be appealing to graduates already of those universities. Rankings, as we've said, are largely a measure of the volume of high-quality, top-rate research. And indeed, for that top-rate research, the funding that will come and the scale that will come will assist in attracting that. The intent is that it will attract further international students. Now, at the moment, approximately 30% of the University of Adelaide students are international students, and 21% of the University of South Australia students are international students. Adelaide University, especially when it had that top 100 ranking last year, could have sought to have an influx of further international students, but it is the clear intent of Adelaide University to keep in mind that part of the international student experience is to mix with a wide range of people from the domestic market as well. And they see 30% as being an appropriate sweet spot, if you like, for that international student market. University of South Australia, when combined with Adelaide University, will see the overall percentage of international students drop down significantly. And the University of Adelaide ranking that is endeavoured to be maintained, if you return to a University of Adelaide percentage of international students, you would see at least 5,000 to 7,000 extra international students than we have at the two institutions separately. You would also see them paying University of Adelaide prices, which are higher than the University of South Australia prices. That would lead to at least $100 million of extra funding a year to the institution and corresponding economic benefits to the state of South Australia. It would also see a range of opportunities combined with the state funding to provide extra opportunities for researchers. The state funding will attract extra federal funding, and that extra research will lead to improved rankings as well as opportunities for commercialisation in South Australia and Australia of the research outcomes. The research will be aligned in particular to state strategic priorities, and that's useful and important as well. And you will see that virtuous circle of the international student growth, the extra funding, the extra rankings, and indeed extra opportunities for domestic students. We're not 100% certain that this will be the outcome, but as Her Majesty's loyal opposition, His Majesty's loyal opposition I should say, the Liberal Party will do all we can to see that opportunity realised for South Australian students and our state.